again, Macedonia. We are here again for another special thing that's going to happen. Last week we had a young lady that came and she spoke about Ruth. So what we're going to do now, I'm not going to reiterate on the things that she spoke about, but Ruth is here again today. Ruth, would you stand? Today, Esther is here. Would you stand and stay where you're standing? Deborah has come to grace us with her presence as well. Would you stand? Mary Magdalene is in the house today. Would you stand? Esther, would you come forward? Let's give Esther a round of applause. This is Yvette.
All right.
I know her as baby girl. Are you ready to speak God's word? You got it? I know this God's got it.
Good morning. Good morning. The book of Esther is the only book in the Bible where God is never mentioned, and the author is unknown.
Wow.
You will see a spiritual chess game being played by God and Satan, who's out to destroy my people again. And God keeps his promise and delivers his people through ordinary, courageous, faithful people. Such a time as this, 100 years after the Babylonian exile. I am going to speak to you as if I'm Esther. I am Esther, and looking back at my story, I see God's providential hands all through my life and my circumstances. All things work for the good, huh? Sometimes the good is not what you expect, but my parents passing away caused me to be brought up by my uncle Mordecai, part of God's great plan for his people. A 187-day celebration goes wrong on the last day. Queen Vashti refuses to show her beauty to her husband, King Xerxes' drunken friends, and causes her to be disposed. God, working in the background, opens an opportunity for me to be queen.
All right.
I call this the divine reset.
All right.
And decrees was made that day, even the king couldn't revoke himself. In a forced beauty contest, God gave me favor with a eunuch named Hagar. He shared personal information with me about the king. I used his suggestions and won the king's affection, for he was enamored with my beauty and my shape, and I pleased him above all the other virgins, and he crowned me as his queen with a big celebration. I had no idea that this crown position would be my purpose.
Take your time, baby.
And as I acclimated to my new life in the palace, I kept my identity a secret.
Yeah.
You see, my real name is Hadassah. And my uncle said not to reveal this to anyone. My uncle, while at the palace gates, overheard the guards plotting to kill the king. He told me, and I told the king, and I told the king to record this in the Royal Chronicles. And I want you to remember that. Now we have to talk about Haman, the thorn in me and my uncle's flesh. My uncle is a Benjamite, and Haman is an Agagite. They are enemies by history, 1 Samuel 15. And Haman hates Jews. Well, Haman weaseled his way to power with his hungry self to the highest official under the king. And the king announced that he wanted everybody to kneel before Haman. But my uncle Mordecai refused daily. He wasn't about to do that at all. Haman gets angry. And when he finds out my uncle is a Jew, he starts plotting not only to kill my uncle, but all of our people over the whole 120 provinces that the king ruled over. He convinces the king while drinking to give him permission to carry out this annihilation of my people by saying, we are separate And we have our own customs in God, and we don't follow their laws. So the king agrees, and when the decree was made, the edict went out all over the kingdom, and my people felt anguished and fearful. And my uncle Mordecai sent a message, and my uncle Mordecai sends a message of what's going on, and sends me an edict to read. He is at his wit's end, mourning our people. He asked me to go before the king, and that we be spared to reveal who I really was as a Jew. God's timing. I told him I can't go. I can't go in unrequested. The king says that is worthy of death. And if he do not hold out his scepter, I will die. And my uncle tells me, if you don't, and you keep silent, God will send another deliverer from somewhere else. And don't think for once, because you are in your position as queen, that you and your family will be saved. Then he says something that gave me courage. For who knows, but you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Again, position to purpose. So I had to, and if I died, I died. I told my uncle to tell the people to fast and pray for me for 3 days. Scared but trembling, I entered to the throne room, and I received the scepter. What a relief. I was asked, what did I want? So I told him I wanted a banquet with him and Haman. And then at the banquet, I was asked again, what do you want? So I said, I'd like a second banquet with Haman as a guest. So Haman is so excited, and he goes home bragging to his family about his wealth, and he invites, and about the invite, and is raging about my uncle, who still doesn't kneel down to him after he leaves the banquet. He sees him in the city, and this just makes him enraged. So his family and friends decide while they're at the house for him to build a 55-cubit-high pole and impale Mordecai on it. In the morning, God's providence over and over again. That night, my king couldn't sleep. He asked for the royal chronicles to be read to him. Remember, I told you to remember that. My uncle Mordecai's name came up, and the king remembers that he saved his life, and he wanted to honor him. So, I'm going to go a little rogue. That morning, Haman gets up to come to the king to ask for basically Mordecai's life. And Mordecai is up in the morning thinking how he's going to honor Haman. So he calls for who's in the court. And they call Haman in. So he asks Haman, how do you honor somebody who saved somebody's life? So Haman comes up with this elaborate, just beautiful thing where he says you should put your robe on him and put him on a horse and go through town and shout out, this is what you do to honor a man that saved your life. Haman thought he was talking about him. But here he was talking about Mordecai. So now he is humiliated because he has to take Haman through town and honor him. Okay, so So after he gets mad, he goes home, and now he's talking to his friends and family again. And remember, he is offered to come to the second banquet. So he goes to the second banquet, but this time, Esther's telling him. So the king says, Esther, what do you want? And she said, I want you to spare my life. Because there was a decree to kill me and my people. And the king is enraged. Because he had already lost Vashti. He's like, I'm not about to lose this one. So he was like, who would do such a thing? And she points to Haman. And she says, that vile man named Haman. So at this point, the king is angry. So he remembers, well, one of the attendants remember that Haman has a pole outside of his house, 55 feet high. So the king says, impale Haman on the pole he set for Mordecai. But this does not save my people, because there's still a decree. And once the king makes a decree, it can't be revoked. So now me and my uncle have to come up with a plan. So we decide to ask the king, can we have a counter decree? So we get a counter decree to fight back, because Haman's plan was for us to be annihilated, and anybody that kill us can have our land and our property and our homes. And he was talking about killing men, women, and children. So we get a decree to fight back, and God supernaturally gives us the power to fight back. We kill all of our enemies, and on the first day we kill 500 and then 300. And all over the provinces, it's like 75-some thousand is killed. And then the people who lived in the palace, they was kind of fearful of us by this time, because they're seeing God's work, and I'm pretty sure they'd have heard the story of our God. So they even help us while we're fighting. So in the end, he exalts my uncle Mordecai to Haman's position. And after that, he gives this great party. And I'm going to go back. When Haman picked the date out for our annihilation, he threw a dice, which is called Purim. And to this day, they still celebrate Purim, which is a celebration of the victory that they had that day. And it's called the Megillah. And actually, it was March the 3rd was Purim, so they have a big celebration. So what I like about the story is the reversals. Like, in the beginning, you see the glory of the king in his castle, and towards the end, you see the glory of Haman as he become and take his reign as the highest official. Then you see where Mordecai is in position, and then you see where you see where Haman is in position. Then you see where Mordecai is. You know, he's okay with not being in the limelight. But then things shift, and he gets exalted. And then you see where in the beginning they save the king's life, and then you see on the other side where they save the Jews. And I just want to say that there are times in our lives where we are going to have moments where we don't see God. And even when things don't look good, and even when it don't look like it's in our favor, that he's still working it out for our good. And sometimes when he's working it out for our good, that good is not always meaning good. Because when you go back and look at Esther, she was in a situation where she was put under Persian law. So she's not living like the way God wanted her to live. This is a woman who was forced to marry a man who, you know, she didn't have no say-so in it. She was just forced. And all their customs was nowhere near like ours. So in this story, I don't think that it was so much that he was concentrating on the fact that they were doing things that didn't seem as godly as you would read in other stories. But he was looking at the fact that these were people who put their faith and their trust in him. And if we put our faith and our trust in him, no matter what it looks like, he will always have our back. And when you look at somebody like Haman was scheming. And when you scheme, you will always get found out, and you will fall. So this was basically a game of chess. And God and Satan was moving these people around like chess pieces. And you had a lot of checks, a lot of checks, a lot of checks. And then God used Esther and Mordecai. Checkmate. Amen.
Can we honestly say that Esther was in the house? Let's give Esther a round of applause. Minister Pepper.